Hey, everybody, and welcome to the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel, where we are here as like a group therapy session, as one communal shower cry, as one, I don't even know, like just, sitting alone in the darkness, but together kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
because the apocalypse is here. We thought when Austin Eckler and Aaron Jones were hurt, we're like, all right, this is bad, but we're still okay. We're not okay anymore.
No. It's very bad. Very bad.
Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, David Montgomery. Who else? There's
You
more
didn't even
people.
mention that we lost Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I mean, I was talking about running back in general, but yeah,
But
there's more and
expanded
more.
out. It's been rough so far.
Yeah,
Especially
it's okay. No, we're gonna go. We're gonna move on. We're gonna talk because we're talking about reactions to week 2 and all of the running backs that are injured as of now, and we're gonna start with what I'm considering a career-ending injury. Are you on board with me? Is this a career-ending injury to you?
it basically seems like it. Yeah. I mean, it's the exact same knee that he blew up in college. He's 27 years old. So like the normal recovery time for a blown up knee, as we've seen from Dobbins and Saquon, even to an extent as well. And a little bit of Javante too, is at minimum a year, if
Yeah.
not maybe a couple months that spill over and stuff. And those guys, when they did that, were 22, 23.
Yeah, three,
Nick
4 years
Chubb
younger.
is
Yeah.
27 now. So if we're talking that he's not even going to return to like productiveness, like he can return to the field next year potentially around this time or maybe October, but how productive he's going to be, how are they going to lighten his workload and stuff? And then we're not even talking about it until he's 29 years old. That's even assuming that he even just recovers in general and then still wants to play.
Yeah. Like,
Like I do kind of see this as maybe it's not career ending in the sense that he just comes out in a press conference after surgery and says, you know what, I'm stepping away from the game. I'm retiring off of this and I'm just going to heal and be with my family and friends and stuff. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but career ending in the sense that we're never going to see RB1 Nick Chubb again. We may never even see RB2 Nick Chubb.
let's get to talking about the Nick Chubb trades. Like, I mean, might as well just talk about them both at the same time. AJ Dillon and Cam Akers are the two players that Nick Chubb got traded for. Two separate trades. Chubb for Dillon, Chubb for Akers. I would prefer Dillon over Akers because Dillon is playing.
Yes.
But I mean, it's not like Dillon's playing great. In the second Aaron Jones hopefully does come back very, 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 very soon, that's going to be even less. Like, if this is the case and this is what you can get for Nick Chubb, I try and just change that to a young wide receiver, maybe. Like, I know, or it's not on the sheet, but in the trade addicts leagues, someone traded Nick Chubb for Zach Moss and Zach Ertz. And like, I remember we talked about it
It is
on
not
the
in
trade addict
premium.
pod last night, and we were sitting here like almost crying talking about it. Like, it legitimately hurts physically to say we'll take Moss and Ertz, and especially when you can get two Zachs in one trade, you got to do it. For as long as JT is out, Moss is going to be okay, and Ertz is getting a ridiculous target share, and especially in our league, which is tight end premium, you're going to play him every week, and it's like the equivalent of 2/3 Moss and Ertz, which Ertz for a third actually happened last week in our leagues as well, just to prove the point. That's what his value is, regardless of the points he's scoring. So like, I'm much more of that thought where I want something better to come of the trade, but I'm also on board with, like, if that's all you can get, just do it because it's something. Maybe not Akers because he's not really something.
Well, I mean, I would do both of these deals just because, like you said, like if you're treating Nick Chubb as essentially a zero, he's just like not really there.
Yeah.
Getting AJ Dillon, absolutely a massive win, especially for the fact that AJ Dillon is the guy as long as Aaron Jones is out. So if Jones is out for another week or two, you're at least getting that production plus
Yeah.
future potential for handcuff abilities. And I would still take Cam Akers because I feel like at least with Cam Akers, his reason for not playing is, I think, just the Rams hate him. That's like,
Yeah.
I don't really think that it's injury related, because we saw at the end of last year that he was very clearly healthy and very clearly productive. It's just the Rams just don't like him. So if he gets traded somewhere, his value should at least go up from that, to which then maybe you flip him for a second. So like you said, like flipping Chubb for Moss and Ertz is basically the equivalent of 2/3.
Yeah.
If you can get any asset that nets you a second, that's better than multiple thirds, right? Like, I mean, I would still take 2/3 for Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
But if you have the potential to get a guy who can net you more, then I'm definitely willing to go and do that, and willing to roll the dice that Cam Akers can potentially be that guy. Or like you said, other young like wide receivers. Like I feel like John Mechie is still in that range. Like if you could just go get
Oh yeah, that would
John
probably get
Mechie.
accepted. Yeah, for the heck of it.
Right. And then there's, I mean, Rashid Shaheed's looked pretty nice early on, but he's still down in this kind of like ADP cluster. If you need production, Adam Thielen might be a guy that you could look at. He just looked really good Monday night.
I'm so annoyed with this switch off between Hayden Hurst and Adam Thielen, because I have two teams where I have both of them.
Well, I apologize.
Yep. I hate depth. I hate it because I always pick the wrong one. Jerome Ford has always been that, like, he's been the handcuff there. Even when Hunt was still there, I think, was it last year Hunt was still there? I can't even remember anymore. He wasn't even looking that great. So we always had Jerome Ford in the back of our head, because if anything, that dude is fast. And of course, sorry, Addison, they played a really bad, not great run defense last night.
Nope, very aware of it.
2 nights ago, whenever the heck that was. I don't know what day it is anymore. But you know, he looked good. So, and yes, they are bringing someone in. Like, they have to literally bring in a body at running back.
They signed Hunt, I think. I think I got that notification like an hour ago.
Did it actually happen? I knew they were talking to Hunt, but I didn't know if anything happened.
1 year, up to $4 million incentives.
Oh, it's actually, yeah. But honestly, like, that doesn't worry me for Jerome Ford. And this first trade in 12-team Superflex is exactly where I think the conversation needs to start. Jerome Ford for a second. Of course, I got my inbox DMs flooded with, you know, I have Ford. What should I take for him? I want to go get Ford. What should I send for him? It's one of those answers with, like, man, if you have Ford on your team, see if you can get a late first out of someone. They shouldn't do it, but see if you can get it. But to me, this is the answer. Ford for a second. That's what he should cost, because let's face it, he's not the answer in the end. He's pretty good. He'll score you some fantasy points. This is like Alexander Madison just, you know, working out, because, you know, Madison doesn't really seem to be doing it right now. But this is absolutely fine to me. And in both directions, I'm happy to get a second out of someone who I had probably forgetting they were on my roster. Like, I have Jerome Ford on one of my taxi squads. Had no idea.
Well, there you go. Now you have a second, at least. I think the only thing that I would add to this would be that if a team is taking on Jerome Ford for a second round pick, chances are they probably have to drop somebody. So try to see if you can get somebody back. It could be, you know, like an upside tight end. It could be another handcuff running back who then becomes the next Jerome Ford that then you sell for a second, you know, in week 6 or 7 of this season. So then you kind of get 2 seconds for Jerome Ford. That would be the only thing that I would see. Like, I like Jerome Ford for a second, but more than likely they're going to end up having to drop somebody to take on Ford, unless you move somebody to IR or whatever it is. But try and see if you can get like that little just extra something on top. Like I said, even if it's another handcuff, the next Jerome Ford, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. This next one is a very, very interesting one. Again, 12-team Superflex, DJ Moore and Jerome Ford for Garrett Wilson III and Damian Harris. Caution, Team B is giving up the highest value asset and the most players in the deal. The third and Damian Harris, I'm willing to just write off at this point.
Congrats on getting them added.
Yeah. I don't even feel like I need to ask you, are you giving up Garrett Wilson for Jerome Ford and DJ Moore? Because the answer should be a very emphatic no. Like,
no?
If you have Jerome Ford on your team, absolutely go try this. Go try and upgrade somewhere else using Jerome Ford. Of course, go look to see who had Nick Chubb. Go look to see if the Saquon Barkley manager is panicking. Of course, David Montgomery, Adrian doesn't really play into this. The Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones, all of them, because we still don't have any idea when those two guys are coming back either. So this, I love this move, and it is just brilliant that you pulled it off with Garrett Wilson. Like, I don't know if this is Zach Wilson panic, but
Probably.
Garrett Wilson is just so good that I don't care.
Yeah, I think this is the best time to try and do this. Is you have an asset in Jerome Ford, pair him with another like flashy in the pan kind of, or maybe still has hype asset for the remainder of the year. And that could be, Puka or Zay Flowers. I really like Zay Flowers, but I'm just throwing him in here because he has a lot of hype right now. Or, Tank Dell or anybody like that that's just kind of boomed really early on. Add Jerome Ford to that guy and see if you can get a buy low on a really good asset that we know is really good, like Garrett Wilson. Maybe you can swing DK Metcalf, who hasn't done all that much production-wise right now. I would have added T. Higgins into this, but he just scored 2 touchdowns. So I don't know if you could pull off a buy low on T. Higgins. Maybe Jalen Waddle. Waddle hasn't done all that much. All these guys in here that see if you can bump up somewhere massively and take advantage of somebody panicking or the hype on somebody else and not producing by someone else. Just do that whole entire move, I think, is absolutely perfect right here, and utilizing Jerome Ford and somebody else's desperation at running back to do that.
All right, so next we're going to talk about Aaron Jones. And this is a little tougher because, again, we don't know what's going on with Aaron Jones, but at least I'm going to say I know that the second he comes back, he's going to be the guy again. He's just better than A.J. Dillon. I don't care if he's 5 years older. So Aaron Jones in a 12-team superflex got traded straight up for Zach Wilson. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, Zach Wilson in a superflex spot, like, he's going to give you most likely double-digit points every single week. It's okay, I guess. I'm not going, like we talked about this last week, it is not someone we're going out to acquire in any way, shape, or form. Like, honestly, I'd rather put Aaron Jones in my superflex spot than I would Zach Wilson, which is why I'm going to say I'll take the Aaron Jones side on this very easily. Now, if you had just the worst luck in the world and you needed a QB, I still think you could have aimed a little higher than Zach Wilson. Like, I would have been happier with Garoppolo or Carr or any of those, like Stafford even though he's doing pretty well already. Aaron Jones could miss 2 more weeks, and I still want Aaron Jones over Zach Wilson.
Oh, easily. I just looked up. He scored 11.5 fantasy points on Sunday. Yeah, Zach Wilson.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's
and one of those was because Garrett Wilson decided to take an 80-yard touchdown to the house. You remove that one play.
Nope. We don't play that game here, especially when it's an 80-yard Garrett Wilson touchdown.
That's fair. Okay. But if it was like an 80-yard
non-touchdown,
Alan Lazard touchdown.
Oh yeah, we could take that off the boards. Yeah.
Then that's like, 7 points off the board right there. So then he only scored 4.
That's so rough.
He threw 3 picks.
Yeah, that's see, that's why I like Kirk Cousins. He's going to throw 2 interceptions, but he'll probably throw like 3-4 touchdowns, and it kind of wipes that out, and that's fine. Yeah, but if you're going to throw 3-4 interceptions, you need to throw them touchdowns. Maybe Aaron just Jones. Throwing it to Garrett Wilson. I don't know. Okay, next trade is much more interesting. It's Terry McLaurin and Aaron Jones for a 24 first and Isaiah Pacheco. This one actually is worth talking about the analyzer values. McLaurin at 240, Jones at 210-ish to come in around 450. A 21 first is 350, and Pacheco just about 100. It's 450 to 455. Like, this is right on the nose analyzer-wise. Okay, so everything that we're saying about Aaron Jones, with him being hurt right now and all of that stuff, do you think you can get a first for him? Like, I don't think you can. I'm not even sure if you could last week when he was healthy. Like, that's
what I was going to say. I don't think you could have gotten a first for him in August when people were preparing for the season. And
yeah,
were like I need a running back. I'm going to give this first. I don't think they were going to pay that for Aaron Jones.
Like, maybe if we had 2 games of him putting up 20 points and he didn't get hurt, now maybe you would, because that offense is looking good. Like, Jordan Love might be good at football. It's Pacheco is throwing me off. Why isn't this a wide receiver? Like, I'm very curious to know. Don't actually look because I don't care that much. Like what your situation is that you're willing to take the first and a running back. Like, is your wide receiver room so stacked that losing Terry McLaurin doesn't matter? So you're just taking the first and replacing Aaron Jones with Isaiah Pacheco in your lineup, not production wise. Almost any player, even at that value level, to me just would probably seem. Of course, I have ADP up and not the trade analyzer, so that doesn't help.
Oh my goodness. This dude's team is terrible. Yeah, I don't know why he took on Isaiah Pacheco for this. This is clearly a give up move on his part. Like his team is really bad. I'm looking at the other dude's roster. I mean, he's got Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase. You weren't getting them. And then after that, Tyler Lockett. That doesn't make sense either because he's like 32. And then you got Sky Moore and Romeo Doubs. Those are the only other two wide receivers.
I would have tried for Doubs. I don't hate the idea of getting Doubs right now. He had a really good week 1. Okay, week 2. He still got, I think, like 5 targets. I would honestly try and then do Doubs and something else for something else, or just flip Doubs for a second if like that needs to be the case later on. But like Pacheco just makes no sense. Mm-hmm. But I still, honestly, I'll take the first and figure something else out later. Like, I don't want to do this, but if I'm blowing up my team and if this is the best I can get for now, I think I just do it. I don't like it, but I do it.
Yep. I think it's good on both sides. Like you said, like where if it's a give up move and you're kind of done for the year, take the first. But if you're competing, I still think that it makes sense to sell your first, which you're hoping is going to be 110 to 112, ideally 112, and you get Aaron Jones, who's probably going to be an RB1 for the remainder of the year once he comes back, and then Terry McLaurin is a nice. You're comfortable throwing him in your starting lineup every single week.
Yeah, you'll low end 2-ish. Yeah. With some upside of getting a game with a couple of extra targets.
Right.
Yeah, like it's okay. That's really what I'm at. It's okay. And if you're in a league that isn't super active or just people are holding too tight right now, that's fine. So let's move on to something that makes me happy. Kyren Williams is a thing, and that makes me very happy. I have a lot of Kyren Williams shares because give me a guy who's really good at catching the ball, and I don't care. Actually, I love the fact that he ran slow at the combine because it lowered his everything. But I knew he was coming back. He's good. He's very, very good. But like, let's talk about these trades because this first one is super interesting. 12-team superflex, Jackson Smith and Jigba and Kyren Williams for Chris Olave. Now, this is going back to the Jerome Ford thing. Take the flash in the pan, take the new hotness that is not a long-term thing, add him to someone and upgrade.
Yeah.
I love JSN. That's Chris Olave.
But I love Chris Olave more.
That's Chris Olave. And Olave is scoring points in a not well-running offense. The total of the analyzer is 519 to 610. It's close-ish. But like what gets to me is why do this trade as the Olave manager? Why like we're at a point, that's the wrong phrase, sorry. We've seen it plenty of times where we see these running backs come out for week 1, week 2 and just like crush it. But like if Kyren Williams, Jerome Ford, Brian Robinson, if they went back to scoring 7 points a game, would you be surprised all that much? It would suck, but it would be a surprise.
No.
So really you're giving up these Olave points and the Olave value for JSN, who seriously, whenever Tyler Lockett decides to not be Tyler Lockett anymore, JSN is going to be very, 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 very good. But Tyler Lockett is still just so good. But if you have Olave and like, let's pretend you didn't want points. Why are you doing this with Kyren Williams? Again, unless you're an active league and you can flip him. But it doesn't seem like you're getting all that much for Kyren Williams. Like if you can get a second, I feel like that's great. Like the next trade is a little interesting. Like let's pretend this was one league. And I want to put these together and see how you then feel about it.
Okay.
So you just traded Chris Olave for Jackson Smith and Jigba and Kyren Williams.
Mm-hmm.
You then turn around and trade Kyren Williams and Josh Kelly for a 24 first. So you pretty much traded Olave for JSN in a first, because these are two handcuffs, again, you probably forgot you had on your team at one point.
Or picked them up.
Yeah, right? Like, so that makes me feel better about it. Like, and I love that we had these two traits next to each other, because I know we constantly say, oh, if you're going to do that and then you can do this, I know this probably wasn't what really happened, but this is very realistic of what cascading trades can look like. So I love that we had it here. I love that it was part of this.
Like the Olave trade is, I think, really weird. Trading away Olave, just like you said, I completely love it from the JSN Kyren to go get Chris Olave.
Yeah.
But if you're selling Chris Olave, you really have to believe that JSN is going to turn into Olave or more than Olave. Like that has been your belief all like summer long, but you just weren't able to get JSN in your rookie draft, and now you're able to do it. And you just kind of added Kyren as the bridge with the hopes maybe to trade him away later or anything like that. So yeah, I love getting Chris Olave, but on the flip side, like you said, like if you're able to cascade this and turn Olave into Jason Kyren, and then turn Kyren and Joshua Kelly into a 2024 first, which I looked it's in a 14 team super flex, but I looked at the team's roster where that first is coming from, and I think it's exactly what I want to be doing with Kyren Williams right now, where if you're trading Kyren and you're able to get a first, identify that team who is so desperate at running back because they just lost 1, 2, even 3 running backs, but they still think that they can still win.
Find that paper tiger.
Yeah, find that one manager in your league who is so overconfident in their team that they're just like, oh, I need a running back. I need a running back. And then you get there first, and then that first ends up being mid or maybe even shies a little bit earlier because they don't actually make the playoffs. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that first ends up being a top 6 pick.
But like, even if they make the playoffs and they're out first round, trading those two guys for like the 108.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. That's absolutely me. And then to say that you got JSN on top of that and you just traded away Chris Olave, like I still think at the end of the day, that's winning. So I like it from that side, and I like that you pulled that in to kind of pair the two of them together as to do this, then do that.
Yeah.
But yeah. This is what I want to be doing with Kyren on both sides.
Okay, so that's technically the end of everything we have, and we haven't done this in a long time because it just wasn't really working out well enough. In Russ's inbox is back for right now because
hit me.
I have a rebuilding team, and this is a 1.75 premium tight end. Every league I play is super flex. I have a rebuilding team, and someone offered me Kyle Pitts for Baker Mayfield and Sam Laporta. So everything that plays into this, I believe in Kyle Pitts' talent, but we all see what's going on with the Falcons. If Kyle Pitts plays the next 2 years like this, they're not taking his 5th-year option, which means he's probably on a new team on that 3rd year. He's probably going to be 24 when that happens. Like, he's that young. And I don't want the points. I didn't think I'd be getting these kind of points out of Baker, but I love me some Sam Laporta, even if I am getting points, even though he might be on my taxi squad. What is Pitts' value to you right now? Because I don't know how to value him. It's so tough.
So actually, this is kind of funny that you bring this up. I saw a poll last night from Jared Wackerly from Dynasty Nerds. Threw it up on Twitter, and at the time that I had voted on it, it had about 1,000 votes, and it was just asking, Dynasty, who do you prefer, Kyle Pitts or Sam Laporta? And at the time of my voting, it was 50-50.
You're going to get a lot. Okay, so here's my problem with that. Twitter is a rough place for Kyle Pitts because you don't have anyone in the middle of the Kyle Pitts argument.
I was going to say, that was how the entire comment section was. It's either, man, I would so easily send away Laporta for Kyle Pitts, or it was, LOL, I can't imagine trading away Laporta for Kyle Pitts.
it's, and the thing is, they're closer in value than I want to admit, but that's realistic. And I don't think Kyle Pitts' value isn't realistic yet. because
Yeah, somewhere in the middle.
You're not seeing Kyle Pitts traded for even just a late first at this point. You're not seeing Sam Laporta being traded for a late first yet. So like, I don't think swapping them, again, that's not even what we're talking about. Like swapping them to me value wise in the ether of Dynasty is still favored by to Kyle Pitts.
Mm-hmm.
But we have this Detroit Lions offense, which is doing pretty well and still does get Jameson Williams back in a couple of weeks. And that's not something we can ignore. I have no idea what to do. Like I literally, and it's going to lead to me just rejecting this because I don't know.
I was going to say, I think that's ultimately the answer. I don't think I would actually do this because you said you're rebuilding and you don't want the points. So that makes it sense for why you're trading away Baker, because he all of a sudden has points and we didn't expect that. But this was kind of what you wanted to happen with Baker. If you were rebuilding and you're still stashing him, is you were hoping that he was good to then ultimately trade him away. So if you're rebuilding, I like taking on Kyle Pitts, but you have Sam Laporta already. Like Laporta has, I think, just as much upside in Detroit as Kyle Pitts does in Atlanta. And then you're hoping that Kyle Pitts goes somewhere after Atlanta to then change his upside so that it's back to kind of where we thought it was going to be when he was coming out of college or after his rookie season. Or you're hoping that Atlanta just sucks so bad that then they fire Arthur Smith and then a new offense comes in. So you're basically hoping
it's not going to happen though. They're doing too well.
On one of those two things happening. Either Kyle Pitts is gone in 2025 or Arthur Smith is fired before that. Those are basically the two things that you're hoping happens. I think I stick with Sam Laporta though over Kyle Pitts, and I think I try to find a different way to move Baker Mayfield.
I wasn't ready for this. I just checked this guy's team out. He has Burrow, Howell, and Daniel Jones already. So his tight ends are Jody Fortson, Jawan Johnson, Charlie Kolar, Luke Musgrave, Kyle Pitts, Jeremy Ruckert, and Cole Turner. So he's doing this strictly for Sam Laporta. Like,
and maybe as insurance in case Burrow sits for like a month or something like that and he needs a bye week guy. But it is probably almost strictly, for Laporta and that production. I don't think I do it.
I'm not going to sit here talking about what I think I'm going to do because that's just going to take forever and get out of my head. But stay strong, everybody. The football season goes on, so we must go on. Just keep a place in your heart for all of these players that are getting hurt because it sucks. These are people, and I know that we sit here talking about a game that involves these human beings, but they're human beings, so calm down a little bit. But still, this game matters to us, so have fun. Don't overreact too much, and just remember, you can always keep trading. Always keep trading, even if again you make a move that doesn't work out. You sent a first and a second right before the season starts for Nick Chubb, and then Nick Chubb gets hurt. You can just go and throw a second for Jerome Ford. Like you can always keep going, even if you just lost 3 players. Don't panic. Keep going. And keep watching us because we give you the awesome advice on what to do. Brought it in at the end. But thank you, everyone. This has been the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes at AmazeHayes_. Before I go, I'm going to say, DLF likes fantasy care, so I'm putting this on here. Anyway, every Tuesday at around 2:00, we do a live stream on the Fantasy Cares YouTube channel. We do some giveaways. We go over the Scott Fishbowl leaderboards and all of that stuff, and we just have a grand old time. So check us out. Subscribe to the Fantasy Cares YouTube thing. Addison, you can cut this out if you don't really want it here, but I said it and I'm not taking it back. Russ Fisher, Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes at AmazeHayes_. We'll catch you next time.